There he
I'm good
goes.
now.
Okay, very good. Thanks. So Bambi will be here to help us. My name is Tim Johnson, and I am the Dean of the School of Languages, Cultures, and World Affairs. And I am joined today by several of my colleagues from various programs that may be of interest to you. First of all, you will see Ambassador Melville, Jim Melville. He is our Associate Dean for Community and International Outreach. He retired after 33 years in the military, in the diplomatic service, right, Jim? And
Right,
your
Tim.
last post was in Estonia, as ambassador from the U.S. to Estonia. You want to add anything?
Well, only that I've been with the college now for a year and a half, and the whole time with the School of Languages, Cultures, and World Affairs. And my reason for being is to encourage young people to think about a life of public service, whether it's in the diplomatic corps or the military or government service, state, local, federal level. And it's a good way to give back.
Great. We're really glad to have you here. And Jim will be helping us with the chat function that you see at the bottom of your screen. You probably are already familiar with Zoom after being effectively remoted in spring. And if not, there's a chat function where you can enter questions, or when we come to question and answer time, you can simply speak out too. Let me introduce the rest of my colleagues, all right now, and then they will have a chance to give a spotlight from their units. We have Mike Gomez, who is the chair of Hispanic Studies. Going through the Hollywood Squares, Jim Newhard is the chair of Classics, Greek and Latin, and everything Mediterranean. Morgan Kerner and Irina Ehrman. Morgan is the chair of German and Russian Studies, and Irina is the director of very successful Russian Studies program. Scott Harris, there, give everybody a wave, Scott. Yep, is the director of archaeology. All right. And I think Andrew Allwine is also here, who is an incoming chair for Classics. Is glad to have him in here today. And we're very glad to have all of you. Nadia, I forgot Nadia. That's not right. Nadia Avendano is the director of our Latin Studies program. Right. So glad to have Nadia here today and to be able to tell us what they're up to in what we refer to as LACS. Now, the School of Languages, Cultures, and World Affairs, first of all, the name's too long, and so we shorten it down to the acronym LCWA. You'll hear some people refer to it as LACWA or LACWA, depending on how they want to pronounce the A. We are not a school that every university has, and that's something that we consider to be a good thing. It is a school that the College of Charleston is able to offer you that not every place is able to do. Okay? So I want to even though we have to do this virtually today, I want to try to give you very quickly background information on the school and how it can support your academic career here and your life after college. Because college is an interesting thing. We worry to death about getting in, and then as soon as we get in, we have to start thinking about getting out and what happens after that. So we will take a shot at that today of letting you know how LCWA fits in that. LCWA, by the way, we should say, also has a web presence. If you go and you punch in lcwa.com, it'll come up and you can research the school and any one of these programs that we are going to be talking about today. So LCWA, since it's not a school that you maybe have heard about before, it's pretty much what its name says, Languages, Cultures, and World Affairs, but we'd like to be able to answer for you basically what is it and what can it do for you, right? Well, in its simplest terms, LCWA is the international engine for the College of Charleston. So let me pull up some images and see what we can do. Does everybody see that now? I need to go back to earlier slides. How are we doing?
We can see it, Tim.
You can see it. Great. Well, basically, we're the international school. We serve as the international engine for the College of Charleston. We're the school that's going to work with you to ensure that you are prepared to succeed and live well in this tightly networked global world that we are in. We've certainly experienced that in a very horrific way and still are with the pandemic, how connected we are. We want you to have the global energy that you need for your life and career, and we want to do that no matter what major or career you're choosing. So we're the school that you're going to be involved in, no matter what your major is, right, or what your career expectations or goals are. So when we talk about adding energy to your career or global energy to your career, this is what we mean. We want to make your career be able, actualize it as a worldwide adventure. And to do that, we're going to be talking about how you can become globally fluent, right? This is not just about language. This is about gaining a worldwide specific set of worldwide skills that are applicable. And what we mean by this are three things in global fluency. You will need to learn a language. Now, in our age, is not the time to be monolingual. Being monolingual is, as you know, one of the quickest ways to limit your skill levels and your experience and actually your welfare in life. And so we at the College of Charleston insist that every student reach a low intermediate proficiency at least, which we define as passing successfully the 202 level of the language. Now, I hope that you will go on further than that, but we want to set that out as a minimum. Linguistic aptitude and communication is the essential skill for global fluency, but it's not just the only one. We want you also to be culturally intelligent, to be able to understand cultural differences, analyze them, see how you fit within them, and then reach the final stage where you actually appreciate difference. Not just being able to recognize it, but appreciate what it is, how you work with it, right? And gain that understanding of multiculturalism. We also want you to have the opportunities to have study abroad, international internships, immersive international experiences so that you can develop really on-the-ground international experience, and that's what we refer to as world impact skills. So when we talk about going global, that's what we're really trying to hit, are those areas. We also don't want you to think that you ought necessarily have to go around the world in order to do this. The world has come to us. And Charleston is an international hub. You'll experience that while you're here. These are just some of the statistics. In terms of percentage per capita, the South Carolina has the largest foreign international investment of any state in the United States. And so being globally fluent, having that global perspective and international experience will give you a competitive edge. It is the case now that you are no longer work ready until you're also global ready. And that's one of our jobs in working with you to accomplish. So of course, we are a leader in study abroad. We have many opportunities for you. At the College of Charleston, there's well over 50 college-led trips, okay, running throughout the year and especially during the summer. We have semester-long and up to year-long programs in Egypt, Cuba, Argentina, Spain, France, Chile, Republic of Georgia, right? So, and there's more. So almost half of our students at the College of Charleston, and we're always trying to push this higher and resource it better, have a study abroad experience as part of their college experience here in Charleston. And we're very, very proud of that. We, again, as you heard me say, are interested in supporting you no matter what your career or major is, to give you that global perspective. But I do want to emphasize that you can major with us, and many students do. About 450 students every year major with us, and twice that many, around 800, most out of any school, minor with us. So we are there to put, again, that global edge with what you are doing. So we have 10 different majors, okay, that you can select, 11 minors, additional minors, and 12 languages. And here we want to pause and suggest to you, you very well may have a language now that has captured your interest, that you've studied in high school and you want to continue with it, and that is fine. But you also don't have to continue with the same language. All these are designed so that you can start from square one if you want to, and you can start in Arabic if you haven't had the chance to take Arabic before, or Portuguese, Latin, Greek, Hebrew. Some of the languages that you may not, Chinese, you had access to before, you will have access here, and you certainly can do that, and we encourage you to think that way. We also encourage you to be intentional about your choice of languages and think about how the language does fit with your major, okay, and to build it together as a comprehensive plan. So we want you to be immersed in the global experience. All our courses are experiential, immersive, have international connections built into them. And this should just be a lot of fun. So this afternoon, we will, after this meeting, have a series of other meetings, right, where you can specifically target areas that you are interested in. So what I want to do now, before we go to your questions, is to give each of my colleagues a chance to give a little spotlight about their program and what they may be talking about later this afternoon. So let's start with Mike, and we'll go on from there. Fill us in, Mike. Hispanic Studies.
Okay, unmute myself, and I will be mercifully brief here because, again, we're going to meet a little bit later on. But as I'll say at the meeting later, Hispanic Studies is one of the largest units in the college. You know, in LCWA, obviously, it's a large presence, and you know, if I want to get anything across, is as far as what we offer, it's a lot. You know, we really offer the content in the language, right? The cultural skills. As I'll try to get across, we also have content that in related majors. So, for example, if you are someone who's studying biology, or if you're interested in healthcare, right, at the 300 level, we have classes, Spanish 316 for what that is worth, that give you the necessary linguistic nuts and bolts to be able to do that job, right? We have a program in Spanish for business, right, that again gives you, besides the language and culture, which is important, right, it gives you these other skills that are practical, right? You know, things have value beyond the practical, but these will give you those skills And there's a bunch of listings of classes I can give later on. The other thing, and I'll talk more in detail at 3, is that the opportunities that our unit, Hispanic Studies, gives for study abroad. Mentioning Argentina and Chile and Spain, really they're just touching the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there is people who go to Spain, it changes them profoundly, and it sounds cliche and kind of hokey, but it really is true. But while they're there, they live with families, they get involved with these, with sort of the day-to-day life. And also they get to do internships in some cases. So in the case of Argentina, later on, I'll be talking about how we're in the process of trying to develop in different fields, right? These opportunities for students who are majoring, right, maybe in something else, maybe in business, to do a sort of an internship related to that. So we have a lot to offer, and I do hope that you guys will, that were so inclined, will join us at 3 o'clock. What I want to do really quickly is give you a link, which I believe you have. I'm going to copy into the chat. I'm going to copy 2 things, and you can see one of them is a link to the Zoom session. And the other one is a link to our department website. So give the website a look, and to see you guys at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Tim.
There we go. Morgan and Arena for German and Russian Studies. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Morgan Kerner. I'm the chair of German and Russian Studies, and I'm an associate professor of German. At 3:30 p.m. today, we'll be having an intro session with a colleague of mine in German on careers and study abroad opportunities. So I'm going to keep it short to it and turn it over to my colleague in Russian Studies. But I did want to say 2 things, 2 takeaways that I hope everyone here remembers. One, to repeat what Dean Johnson said, you do not have to take the same language in college that you took in high school. And the College of Charleston through LCWA offers 12 different languages. I took a different language than I started in German in college and reached near native proficiency. So it's very possible. Secondly, I wanted to say to everyone that combining proficiency in a foreign language study abroad with another field of study, be it in the humanities, social sciences, business, education, whatever you want to study, really, really make you stand out on the job market and when you're applying for grad school, med school, law school. That is definitely the case in German, and I'll be talking more about that later today and giving the examples. But German, if you combine German proficiency with another field of study, you sort of become a unicorn for employers. And if you study Russian, for which there's an even greater need in the US right now, you will become a pink unicorn. And with that, I want to turn you over to my colleague, Dr. Irina Ehrman, the Director of Russian Studies.
All right, Irina.
Almost started talking while I was on mute. So I'd just like to first of all invite anybody who has additional questions that we're not able to answer during the session, during the Q&A, to please just send me an email, and I'm happy to meet with you individually on Zoom to tell you more about what Russian Studies can do for you specifically. And so just email me at erman.iam@cofc.edu. But so our students have done really, really fun and exciting things with Russian. It pairs really well with a number of majors. A lot of students will combine it with international studies. Political science is another great major that works really well with Russian studies. Students studying economics and business will pursue Russian, and we also have actually a language course, Russian for business. And so we have a number of really exciting combinations. I've had students work in public health and attain fluency in Russian and go on to look at projects having to do with Russia and public health issues. Gender and sexuality studies, basically anything that you can think of, we can work with you, and I specifically can work with you on combining it with your interest in Russian or Russian language. And if we can go to the next slide, thank you. And so we offer an interdisciplinary minor, and what you can take with us are all levels of Russian language. So meaning you can take Russian for your entire 4 years at CofC, and you don't ever have to repeat a Russian course. So once you go above the 200 level, then we introduce topical courses where you can study Russian film in Russian, you can study business Russian, you can study Russian media, so any number of topics, including contemporary Russia, which we teach both in Russian as a higher level language course and also in English. And then other exciting courses are things like folk tales, your classics of 19th and 20th century Russian literature, gender and sexuality, and even vampires, which I teach at least every other year, if not more often. And one combination that I particularly want to highlight today is our first year experience learning community that we are offering with the computer science department. And so this is a really great opportunity for you if you're interested in computer science as a potential major, if you're interested in possibly a career in cybersecurity, right, or anything, you know, in work in government and having to do with computer science. Basically, what this offers you is a chance to take Introduction to Cybersecurity, so get started on your computer science work, as well as Russian 101. You would be taking them together as a group, and so you would also during this time be fulfilling your freshman, your FYE requirement as well. And so it kind of knocks out a lot of requirements and also gets you started in your career studying computer science and Russian. And so the if you have any questions about that particular learning community from Russia with Code, you're welcome to email the professors, Professor Lancy Afonso from computer science and Professor Maggie Milcheva from Russian, or again, you can just get in touch with me and I'll be happy to answer any questions for you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Irina. Appreciate that very much. Jim Newhard, tell us something about classics.
Yeah. First off, thanks everybody for coming in to this session. Really looking forward to seeing you on campus in the fall. So Classics is the program that studies the ancient civilizations of Greece and Rome, ancient Mediterranean most broadly. Within our department, we house the 10th largest Latin undergraduate program in the country. So as in terms of classics programs nationally, we have a national presence and scale here at the college that is quite impressive. Most people think of, or many people think of classics as a place where you learn ancient Greek and Latin. We do that, and we do that very well. But classics is so much more than that. In studying these ancient civilizations, we're studying the economic, the political, the religious, the cultural systems and structures of those societies, and looking at the evidence not only from the literary but the historical and the archaeological material. So there's a lot of different types of analysis, explanations, and all sorts of analytical tools and techniques that you pick up when you're studying these ancient societies. So when we think about classics here at the college and at the college level, we're really bringing in a lot of other cognate disciplines such as history, political science, philosophy, but also geology, biological sciences. We do a lot of computer modeling in some places. So there's a lot of ways that we integrate our curriculum with other disciplines here on campus. Most people, one of the questions I often get about classics is, what are you going to do with that? A lot of people think that this is a place where, you know, this is where if you want to teach Latin or Greek, this is where you go. Well, 70% of our graduates actually do something else. And this is a very successful program with people going into public relations, information science, the legal fields. Our alumni are in the national security and foreign affairs sectors. Government service is very large. About 30% of our alumni can be placed in that industrial sector. and a lot of other professional services. So after 10 years, the jobs that we hear our alumni having are usually, the titles usually have something like senior manager or grand poobah in terms of their job titles. So they're very successful in the real world and in a variety of places. So we are going to have a session teamed up with our colleagues in archaeology later this afternoon. I encourage you to come. As other people have said here, this is a great place to study languages, cultures, and certainly see how that works into the topic of world affairs. I'll just put in a plug for Latin and Greek. As someone who knows several languages, I have found that the study of the Latin and the Greek have been very influential and helpful in studying not only my second language, but my third, fourth, or even seventh. So with that, I'm going to turn off the
Right. Thank you, Jim. If you don't have to answer this. I prefer that you not, but if you've ever played with a Barbie doll, one of the executive managers for Mattel that handles the distribution of Barbies holds her classics major from the College of Charleston. She's in California now. It's my field, and I'm right now at least gainfully employed. So you can do well with the major. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that very much. Nadia, Latin, American, and Caribbean Studies.
Okay, I am unmuted. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Nadia Avendaño, and I teach Latin American literature and culture, as well as Chicano and Latino literature. And I'm the program director for Latin American and Caribbean Studies. It's also a long name, so we use the acronym LACS, which I don't know how I use it so much, but I will try to stick to Latin American and Caribbean Studies, but if you'll also see it as LACS. And we are our own program with our own major and minor. Sometimes we are confused with international studies because they do have LACS concentration, but this is a degree. You would be receiving a degree in Latin American and Caribbean Studies or a minor in Latin American and Caribbean Studies. We're the only university in the state that offers this degree. So that sort of makes us unique here at the College of Charleston. Some highlights, let's see, what do our students, what's our profile? Students who major in Latin American and Caribbean Studies are passionate about Latin America and the Caribbean, and as well as US and Latino relations, right? With the continuing importance of Latin America and the growing population of Latinos in the United States. Having a degree in this area is very marketable for you after graduation. It sets you apart from just having a degree in political science. If they see that you're also an expert in Latin America and the Caribbean, and you have the linguistic as well as cultural fluency, that also sets you apart. Our majors are required to take 3 years of a foreign language or the equivalent of 3 years, so they can take Spanish, Portuguese, and or French. They also are required to study abroad. So our majors want to study abroad. Usually they study for a semester in one of the 3 LACS sponsored programs here. We have a La Habana, Cuba semester program. We have a Chile semester program and an Argentina semester program. Also, our program really emphasizes internships. Most of those are abroad in different places in Latin America. We assist our students in gaining these internships. We have up to now fully funded these internships. Depending on our growth, we may have to just partially fund, but our students have taught English in Mexico. They have taught students, indigenous students with disabilities in Peru. They have taught printmaking in Chile because they were also studio art majors. Locally, we work with Student Action for Farm Workers. So right now I have a major interning with this nonprofit organization as well. And they are committed to assisting farm workers and their families with access to health, legal, and education resources, both in North and South Carolina. So our students are very socially justice minded, and they have careers in many different areas, both in Washington, D.C., working in government, in the Department of Education. Some have founded their own travel agencies. We have a graduate that has a travel agency in La Habana, Cuba. So again, it's the same thing that they were saying about classics. You can do just about anything with a Latin American Caribbean Studies degree. It pairs very well with a Spanish major, a political science major, but I have students that are biology majors, anthropology majors as well, and they receive a double major. I hope you will attend the 3 o'clock session with my colleague from Hispanic Studies. And if you have any questions, please visit the website, lacs.cofc.edu. You can see what our graduates have done, and the courses that students can take in different disciplines, and as well as find my email and send me an email if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. You do have a major who is in finance at the World Trade in DC that I visited with about 6 months ago.
That's right.
And we also have an incoming provost on July 1st, the chief academic officer, who is an epidemiologist with a specialty in Latin American studies and Latin American health. And so we're glad to have LACS as part of us. We're also glad to have archaeology and Scott Harris here. And Scott, you get to play the anchor role here in bringing up our spotlights, and you have the opportunity to bring us in right on time. So thanks a lot. Tell us something about archaeology.
Excellent. I'll try to make it fairly brief. It's nice to see y'all. Thanks for showing up today. And I hope it's pleasant where you are. I'm here on James Island, as well as some of the students that have come in. So archaeology is a fantastic program. It's definitely a global endeavor. It's something that people obviously have been all over the planet. And so there are things to find all over the planet and to integrate into these different majors. Our students have studied all over the world. They've been here, of course, in Charleston, where we have a large archaeological record from prehistoric into historic archaeology across the United States, France, Italy, Ireland, Romania, Turkey, Greece, Israel. And that's just in the last couple of years. I've probably missed a few. One interesting thing about this particular major is that you're not allowed to get an archaeology major by itself. You have to get another major. And these go across multiple schools, not only languages, cultures, and world affairs, but the School of the Arts, School of Science and Math, School of Humanities and Social Sciences. Some of the typical majors that go along with it are classics here in LCWA, anthropology. I'm actually a geology faculty member, so I do love to dig in the dirt and play with rocks, and also meet with my archaeology colleagues, and we do a lot of digging and together, which is a lot of fun. But also biology, chemistry, computer science, history, historic preservation, and mathematics. I think I got all those. But anyway, it's a really interesting way to pair. It's called a cognate major, and it's really nice because a lot of our bits and pieces that we require for archaeology do fit within your overall program as a student. Your first couple of classes almost all of these count towards the major. And then when we combine those together, we have classes across those 10 other majors that come into archaeology. So whether you're in classics or anthropology or some of the other majors, these classes all combine together to give you that double major. We have really strong relationships across the planet with our faculty and with people that our faculty know. And so within our departments here and with other universities across the world and industries that we work with, you'll have access to extensive laboratory and computer capabilities. A lot of our students get into really strong details about computer science. When you're looking at archaeology, you're mapping the world, you're mapping people, you're mapping what they've done. And so having that background is really helpful when you do it. You don't have to have it, but it can be very helpful. We also do have some, in the program, we do have small pots of funds to help you travel. If you want to go to meetings or if you're going overseas, we can help offset some of those costs. We can't do it fully because we have about 45, depending on the year, 40 to 48 majors, give or take at any one time. And you can get involved very early. You'll have access to the faculty, our research, and basically we're very committed to your success. We want you to be successful. We want you to be involved, and we really want to get you in there early so you can get your hands in the dirt. You can start looking at materials. You can start learning. It's very experiential. And so getting these experiences outside of the classroom as well as inside the classroom really builds the program. And I'm going to leave you a little information in the chat box. Feel free to get in touch with me. And we have this afternoon, combined with classics, another Zoom meeting. And let's see if that will
You
get
do
in there.
at 4 o'clock.
Yep, at 4 o'clock. Oh, I just did it twice, so it's twice as important that you show up at 4 o'clock. And I look forward to seeing y'all this afternoon, if you can, and on campus this fall. It'll be great to see you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Let's go ahead now. We can have about 10 minutes or so. That'll be good for questions that you may have at all. Now, questions can be about specific programs, about the school in general, or about coming to the College of Charleston. We'll do our best to answer the questions that you have. So you can place them in the chat, or you can just go ahead and ask away. Okay, that's a lot of information, so feel free.
I actually have a question about the Russian program. So I personally used to be fluent in Russian. My name's Anastasia Ansiferova. It doesn't say it on the screen, but that's my name. And I just had a question on how it was set up. I've lost some of the language because I have no one to speak to anymore. And it's just reading and writing is difficult without a teacher. So I was just wondering on how that was set up to benefit like my situation.
Yeah, did you manage to take down my email while I was presenting? Should I put it in the chat box one more time?
Yes, could you put it in the chat box, please?
Sure, absolutely. So I'll do that. I'll kind of very briefly answer your question now, and then I would encourage you to reach out to me via email and we'll set up an appointment. So what I do is I will meet with you and we'll have an interview and we'll evaluate the level that you're at right now in your Russian, and then I will help you select the appropriate class. Right? So whatever level is going to work best for you. So it sounds like, you're not going to be starting from scratch, right? And we'll just find a good level for you that's going to meet your speaking skills and also the practice that you need for your writing and your reading. So that's no problem at all. We do it all the time. We just call it a placement test. And so I'm going to put my email right here in the chat. And so please just send me an email. We'll set up a meeting and we will get you the best class for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the question. It's a very good question. Anyone else have something here? How are you doing today, John? I didn't get a chance to meet you. If you can hear me, I'm glad to have you here today.
Doing good, thank you.
Good,
Yeah.
Good. Lisa, do you have a particular area of interest?
I have so many interests.
You have so many, well, you'll fit well here.
Yes, I do have a question though. So that was kind of in relation to placement exams. So, so we can just kind of schedule an appointment with any professor in a language region and just kind of discuss with them about our proficiency.
Yes, you can, but also if you'll go to the individual websites for the languages, for the programs, they will have specific placement guidelines for you to look at.
Okay.
Depending on the program, most often used placement is by how many years of study you've had so far. Okay? And it won't necessarily require a placement exam. Okay? Placement exams are often used where Anna asked the question about Russian because there's been maybe a layoff, there's been special circumstances, and somebody really needs to know where they are. Okay? Or they will come in and take a placement exam on a language that we don't happen to offer. Unfortunately, for instance, we don't offer Korean. And so somebody coming in with Korean may need to establish their level of ability by testing in that area. Okay? So those are the two most often used placement strategies that we have. Now, one of the things that's great here is there's such direct contact with the professors that, let's say you sit down in a class and you feel like your placement's wrong. You sit down and you say, look, I can do more than this. Or you sit down in a classroom, you say, hold on, I'm just going to be wiped out by this. Then you can immediately have a conversation with the professor, and with a few questions, we can help adjust your placement and get you where you need to go in order to be successful. Any study abroad questions?
There's a question in the chat room from JD. Is there
thanks, Jim.
contact with a college in Uruguay?
Pardon? I didn't hear.
Contact with a college in Uruguay.
You are, JD. Okay.
Yes, is there any, like, I want to study abroad in Montevideo, and I was wondering if there was any place.
Right now, there are no, right now I say that because we do have a professor who's interested in starting a program in Uruguay, but we don't have any college-led programs there. Okay, now I said that very carefully, college-led programs, because here we have a Center of International Education that keeps and maintains programs that are external to the College of Charleston, but they have still contact with them and they know about them, and you can go there and investigate those. Okay, so it is perfectly possible to go to a place where we don't necessarily have a specific College of Charleston program. Okay, that's a really good question, by the way. We have a really great Center of International Education. Mike.
And just to rip off that and I was just trying to type it into the chat, and I will delete my chat, because is that study abroad is a really dynamic. We have programs that are long-standing. The Three Hero program goes back to like the 1990s, I want to say. We have a very long presence there. However, there are new programs that come up. My colleague, Professor Vasquez, was looking into doing a program in Ecuador, right? And we were also, as Dr. Johnson well knows, we were looking into programs in Araras and in Portugal, in Brazil, before this unpleasantness of the pandemic. So, and those things are going to continue. So, it's opportunities are always presenting themselves. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Very good.
I would just like to riff on what Dean Johnson and my colleague, Dr. Gomez, had said. There are a lot of programs in other parts of the world where we don't have a direct College of Charleston like financial investment in that, but those programs, affiliate programs, for example,
Yes.
there are many out there who've been going on and operating for decades and have built a reputation of excellence that we have basically gone in, looked at the program and said, yes, this is something that we want to have a special relationship, if you will, with this program. because they've put in the hours and years of developing the relationships and the curriculum, and it'd be silly not to work off and partner with those programs. So there are a wide variety of ways in which study abroad can work.
Thank you, Jim, because that's right. I forgot to mention the affiliate programs. And Greece is a good example of that. We have our own program that runs during the summer in Greece. Andrew Allwine has led it several times. It's a long-standing program of well over 20 years. But then we also have affiliate program in Greece, and that is very good for longer periods, for students to go for longer periods of time. Is everybody go ahead, sorry.
I also had one other question. I got an email about the German studies and how there was a strong connection to psychology in it. And I just personally am interested in psychology. And I was just wondering what that was about.
Yes, who was that? That was me. And I was writing you about, we have a, Mike Ruscio in the psychology program developed a research internship to the University of Bremen, where they place students. You don't even have to speak German necessarily. So I think it's something you can do after your freshman year. It's better you have more psychology research in it. But that's a standing exchange we have where they send someone over to do research with us every spring. And then in the summer, we send, or Dr. Ruscio in psychology sends someone over there.
That's cool. Interesting.
That is pretty cool.
Just to really quickly to go off of what Dr. Kerner said, I mean, there's this misperception that language is sort of its own little island, and you go on Spanish Island and you're conjugating verbs and you're making, quiz. Yeah. I mean, like, there's all these connections. If you like psychology, if you like philosophy, if you like medicine, if you like all these things interconnect. And sometimes people don't know that. I mean, it seems like maybe a no-brainer, but that's something that you will get. We're going to offer you connections to all these different topics that may interest you: art, philosophy, whatever it may be. So I'll keep my mouth shut for now.
That's exactly right, and that's a really good place to close. We can keep the questions going. You can email us, and we'll be glad to carry on conversation with you. But that's a really great place to stop and emphasize right there. Is that's what we mean by putting the global energy behind what you do, is that your interests can be enhanced and strengthened by your international experience and study. That's why College of Charleston is routinely one of the leaders in producing Fulbright scholars. And usually, routinely, half, if not more than half, of those that win the Fulbrights are from the School of Languages, Cultures, and World Affairs. All right. We are the leading school in terms of producing the national award winners. And you have opportunities that you just haven't had before. If you're in computer science, if you're an engineering student interested in engineering, well, we're the place where you can study engineering and go and spend a year at the American University in Cairo with one of the oldest practitioners of engineering in the world. All right. We can do that for you here. So we welcome your questions. Thanks for coming and joining us today. And we look forward to being in person. That's our goal. We are on target for it today. I'm on that task force, and our plan was delivered and reviewed this morning. So we're on target for that now, and it'll be fun to see you on campus here at the College of Charleston.